Hi everyone, welcome to another Bowtie Teacher video. In today's video, we're going to look at the January 2020 paper 2HR from the Edexcel IGCSE and just do an unofficial mark scheme to let you know how you're getting on with all of these. So we're going to start with question 1, and that was 5 to the 17 times 5 squared. So that's going to be 5 to the power of 19 for 1 mark. Then we had to do 800 as a product of its prime factors. So we're going to break that down into its factors like this: 2 times 100, and then 2 times 50, 2 times 25, and 5 times 5. So 800 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 to the 5 times 5 squared. That's for 2 marks. Then we have this frequency table for question 2. We're going to take the midpoints, so 10, 30, 50, 70, and 90. And the frequencies for each of those would have been 5, 11, 8, 19, and 6. So this was our x column, and this is our frequency. So we're going to do f times x to get 50, 330, 400, 90 times 60 is 540. And 70 times 19 is 1330. So the total amount of money spent in the grocery store would be the sum of all of those. So I'm just going to quickly add those: 400, 330, and 50. And we get 2,650. Okay. Question 3 was the tins with the buttons in. So tin A contains X. Tin B is 4 times A, so 4 lots of X. And C is 7 fewer than A, so X minus 7. The total number of buttons is 137. So 137 is X plus 4X plus X minus 7. So 6X is going to be equal to, take this, add 7 to both sides, is 144. So x equals 24, is it? 144 over 6. Yeah, 24. So A has 24 in it, and it says what's the number of buttons in C. So 24 minus 7, that's going to be 17 in C for 4 marks. For question 4, we had a rectangle, and you just had to work out the diagonal of this. So it was 8.5, and it went down 5.6. So the diagonal, let's call it x, is going to be 8.5 squared plus 5.6 squared. And then I'm going to square root that at the end. So 8.5 squared plus 5.6 squared. And then square root that answer, I get 10.17. To 1 decimal place, it's going to be 10.2. Question 5, we have a plane. It takes 3 hours 36 minutes. So 3 hours 36 minutes is going to be converted, if I use the time button. Use the check my calculator video out if you're not sure. So 3 hours 36 minutes, turn that into time, it's 3.6 hours. And then we can do the speed is equal to the distance divided by time. So 2470 over 3.6. 2470 divided by 3.6 is 686 to the nearest whole number, 686. Question 6 was a perpendicular bisector. So all we have to do is put our compass at each end and make sure it's over halfway, and do the other side as well, and then connect those two, and it will give you a right angle through the middle. That's for 2 marks. Question 7, we've got simultaneous equations, and we don't even have to change them at all. We just have to add these together. So we've got 7x minus 5y equals negative 11. So if we add the 2 equations, we get 10x is equal to minus 5, and x equals minus a half. Once we've done that, we can find out y. So we substitute for this. So 5y is 6 minus 3x, which is 6 minus plus, actually, it's going to be 3 lots of a half. So 5y equals 6 plus 3 halves, so 6 plus 1.5. And then I'm going to divide that by 5 to get 1.5 for y. So 3 over 2. I can double check that on my calculator with the simultaneous equation function. And we're going to do 3, 5, and 6, 7, negative 5, and negative 11. And we get minus a half for x and 3 halves for y. Excellent. That's for 3 marks. Question 8. We have $20,000 invested at, it depreciates. So we're going to multiply that by 1 minus 19 over 100 and raise that to the power of number of years. So 1 minus 19 over 100 is 0.81 cubed, times that by 20,000. We get $10,629 to the nearest dollar. Question 9 was the box, and it's put on a table. So the pressure is equal to force over area. So the area is going to be the force divided by the pressure, which is, the force was 27 and the pressure was 30. So the area, which is the length times the width, so 1.2 times x is going to be equal to 27 over 30. So I'm going to rearrange this. X equals 27 over 30 times 1.2. 27 over 30 times 1.2 gives me 3/4 or 0.75. 0.75 meters. That's for 3 marks. Question 10. This was the standard form. So the difference between Atlantic Ocean, so that's 1.06 times 10 to the 8, minus the Indian Ocean, which was 6.86 times 10 to the 7. So do that on the calculator. 10 to the 8 minus 6.86 times 10 to the 7 is 37,400,000. So 3.74, I'm going to use the standard form function, and that gives me 3.74 times 10 to the 7. Like that. The surface area of the Pacific Ocean is K times the surface area of the Arctic. So let's divide those two together to find out what K is. So Pacific Ocean, 1.56 times 10 to the 8. And we're going to divide that by the Arctic, which is 1.41 times 10 to the 7. And that's 11.06. Giving your answer correct to the nearest whole number, that's going to be 11 times. That's for 1 mark. Question 11a. Write down the integer values of x. So it was minus 2 is less than x, less than or equal to 4. So we can't have minus 2, so we're going to have minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's for 2 marks. And then we had the shaded area. So we had this kind of shape. So it's less than this horizontal line. So y is less than or equal to 6. And it's a full line, so we're not going to use the less than symbol. It's above the diagonal line down here, which was x plus y equals 5. So it's going to be x plus y is greater than or equal to 5. And it's going to be above the other diagonal line, which was y equals x minus 3. So y is greater than or equal to x minus 3. That's for 2 marks. Question 12, we have the isosceles triangles and the polygons like this. We had the 66 degrees in here and in there. So they're both 66 degrees. So we can work out the remainder, 66 times 2, and take that away from 180. to get 48 degrees in here. That means that the rest of the circle, which is split evenly between the two sort of shapes down there, is going to be 360 minus 48, which is 312, and divide that by 2 because it's equally shared between those. So 156 there and there. So we now know the interior angle of the shape is 156. So I'm just going to work out the exterior angle, 180 minus that, is 24. So we know the exterior angle is 24, and that is equal to 360 divided by the number of sides. So n is 360 over 24. I think that's 15. Yeah, n is a 15-sided shape. That's for 3 marks. Next one was a prism in the shape of a trapezium. So what we had here was BC, which was 7. Then we kind of came down like this, and we had a 12 here. The height we don't know, and it goes back 10 centimeters like that. So we can work out the volume of this thing. The area of the cross section is half the 2 parallel sides added together, multiplied by the height, and then the volume is going to be the area times 10. So going to be 10 lots of a half of 7 plus 12 is 19, and that's going to be times by h. So 10 times a half, 5 times 19 is 95h, and that equals our volume, which is 608. So the height is going to be 608 divided by 95, 6.4 centimeters. That's for 3 marks. Question 14, we had some numbers that we're going to have to put in order to find the interquartile range. There's 11 of them, so we'll try and do this. 5, 7, then it jumps up to an 11. Then we have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. There's a 12 in there as well, which I missed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's another 18. There we go. Okay, so the interquartile range, we want the median is 11 plus 1 over 2. That's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the median. We can split the remaining data into halves to get our lower quartile here and the upper quartile there. So the interquartile range, we subtract the 17 and the 11 to get the interquartile range is equal to 6. That's for 3 marks there. 15a was a table of values y equals x squared minus a half x minus 3. And we want that between negative 3 and positive 3. So on our table function on the calculator, we're going to go down to table, type in x squared minus x over 2 minus 3. We want to start at negative 3 and end at 3, going up in ones. So what we're going to have here when we plot this is minus 3 is 7.5, minus 2 is 2, minus 1 is minus 1.5, 0 is minus 3, then 1 is negative 2.5, 2 is 0, 3 is 4.5, like that. So this is a positive quadratic, so you're going to plot that, and I can't really do that for you. So that one was for 2 marks there, and the graph, what the examiner will be looking for is just to make sure that all of those plots are exact, and it's going to go through 0, negative 3, 2, 0 there like that, and somewhere between minus 1 and minus 2 is where the graph's going to go through there. So something like that, but again, you'll kind of know if you've got that correct anyway. Question 16, part A, was the probability tree. So we've got the 7/10 there, and that leaves 3/10. And then for the second bag, we have odd, that's 7 out of 12. So that leaves 5 out of 12 for the even, and it's the same for both like that. So that's for 2 marks. Part B, calculate the probability that the total of the numbers will be an odd number. So we can go odd, then even, when we add those together, or we can go even and odd. So odd times even for the top here, 7/10 times 5/12, and even 3/10 times 7/12 there. Okay, so when we get those two answers, we're going to add them together. So we've got 35 over 120 and 21 over 120. Add those together, you get 56 over 120. So that will cancel down to 7 over 15 for 3 marks. Part C, Harriet also has a bag of counters, and the probability that each of Cody's 2 counters and Harriet's counter will be even is 3 over 100. So we're going to go from Cody's bag, we're going to go even, then even, and then we need an even from the new bag. So even first was 3/10. We're going to multiply 3/10 multiplied by 5/12. Then we're going to be multiplying it by the probability here, which we don't know. Let's just call that x. And when we do all of that, we get 3 out of 100. So we're going to have 15 over 120 times x is equal to 3 over 100. So we can find x by dividing 3 over 100 by 15 1/20. So that gives you x is equal to 6 over 25. So if it's a probability of 6 over 25 in its simplest form, then the least number of counters that she can have has to be 25 in the bag. So that would be for 3 marks there. Question 17 was the Venn diagram. So we've got the 3 circles here. And this was, let's do that. D, dogs, cats, and rabbits. And we always start from the bottom upwards. So we have 5 that don't have anything. That's going to go on the outside. 6 have a dog, cat, and a rabbit. That goes in the middle. X have both a dog and a cat. So x is going to be equal to x plus the bit in here. So 6 plus what's in there is going to be equal to x. So x minus 6 will go in there. Let's just make that a little bit clearer. X minus 6 will be in there. 9 have a dog and a rabbit. So we've already got 6. So we need another 3. 8 have a cat and a rabbit. So that's going to need another 2. 20 have a rabbit. So there's already 11 in there. So we need another 9. 18 have a cat. So let's just have a look at this one. 18 is equal to 6 plus 2 plus x minus 6 plus whatever's remaining for the cat. So 6 plus 2 plus x minus 6 plus for the cat. So we can rearrange this. 10 equals x minus 6 plus what's in the cat's there. So 16 equals x plus cat. So we can do this. For the cat will be 16 minus x in there. That'll tell us the number left in there for the cats. We'll do a similar process for the dogs. So 28 have a dog. So 28 is equal to 3 plus 6 plus the x minus 6 plus the thing that we have for the dogs. So we're going to subtract 9 to give us 19 is equal to x minus 6 plus the dogs. Add 6, we get 25 minus x is the bit we want for the dogs in there. 25 minus 25 minus x. Okay, so that's a little bit strange there, how we fill that out, but essentially we're trying to make them total what is given us in the information. So that's for 3 marks there. And then for part B, work out the value of x if there were 50 students. So 50 is equal to all of this Venn diagram added together. So we've got 9 plus 3 plus 6 plus 2 plus 5 on the outside. Then we've got the algebra terms, so 25 minus x plus x minus 6 plus 16 minus x. We can rearrange all of that to try and find out what x is. So 50 minus, let's do the 9 plus 6 plus 3 plus 2 plus 5. So 50 minus 25 is equal to 25 minus x plus x minus 6 plus 16 minus x. So we can cancel these, work these out. 25 minus 6 plus 16. 25 minus 6 plus 16 is equal to 35. And then the minus x plus x, they cancel, and we're left with minus x. So rearrange that to get x equals 35 minus 25. That's 10. So that's for 2 marks. Part C is to find the number with not C, and not D. So it's going to be outside of C and outside of D. Okay? So outside of C and outside of D, that's going to be 9 plus 5, so that would be 14. Okay, that's outside of C and outside of D for 1 mark. Question 18, intersecting chords. So we had the circle and the intersecting chords here, 8x, 9, and 6. So 8 times x is equal to 9 times 6. So x equals 54 divided by 8 is equal to 6.75 centimeters. That's for 2 marks. Question 19 was an algebraic fraction. So 4 minus 3x over 5 minus 3x minus 5 over 2, and that equals -3. So we can type this into our calculator to get the answer straight off the bat using the calc button, but let's just cross multiply this. So we're going to have 2 lots of 4 minus 3x minus 5 lots of 3x minus 5. That will be all over 5 times 2, and that equals -3. So we can times both sides by 10 and expand this out to get 8 minus 6x minus 15x plus 25 is equal to -30. Minus 6x minus 15x is minus 21x, so I'm going to take that over the other side and make it positive. And I'm going to do 8 plus 25 minus, so plus 30 there. So 55 plus 8 divided by 21, so x equals 3. Okay, so we can just check that on our calculator and make sure. So I'm just going to do that quickly. We've got 4 minus 3x over 5 minus 3x minus 5 over 2. And then I'm going to use the alpha calc button and -3 and solve that for me. Yep, x equals 3. Lovely. That's for 3 marks. And then for part B, we've got an inequality, a quadratic inequality, 5y squared minus 17y, and that's less than or equal to 40. So I'm going to rearrange this to get a quadratic that I can solve. Minus 40 less than or equal to 0. And my calculator will tell me my critical values here. So if I go down to the quadratic inequality, degree 2, and it's number 4 in this case, we've got a 5, a -7, and a -40. So our final answer should be -8 over 5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5. So that tells me what my brackets are going to be. I'm going to have a 5y That should be a y, sorry. And a y. And then we need 5 here and an 8 here. So minus and a plus should work. 5y squared minus 24. Yeah, that's it. So we can't just put the answer like that. We should really draw a sketch of this graph, which looks like this. And it goes through minus 40, and it goes through 5 and minus 8 over 5. So it does something like that. And we want to know when it's less than or equal to 0 on the graph. So between those two values there, like that. So that's what we would be doing in the exam for 3 marks there, just showing that on a sketch. Question 20, we had some vases A and B. So the scale factor of this was 9 for A and 13 for B. So our scale factor for the length of A to the length of B is 9 to 13. The surface areas, so the surface area of A to the surface area of B, this is where we would square our scale factors. So 9 squared, 13 squared, like that. And it says, given that the surface area of A plus the surface area of B is 1800. So if we say that this is X, then the surface area of B is going to be X times 169 over 81. Okay, so we have the original surface area of A. We're going to add the scaled up version of this as well, and that will be equal to 1800, like that. So we can times everything by 81 to clear that fraction. 81x plus 169x is equal to 1800 times 81. So 81 plus 169 equals that, 250x. And we're going to do 1800 times 81 divided by 250. So that gives us x equals 583.2. That is our surface area of A for 4 marks. Question 21 is an algebraic fraction again, just like the ones I did in my videos. So we've got a difference of 2 square on the bottom. 4x squared minus 9 is 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. And on the numerator, we had a quadratic, but we know that one of the brackets is going to be a 2x and a 3 anyway. So to make the original 10x squared plus 23x plus 12, let's just write this out so that you can see it. To try and get the 10x squared, we would need a 5x in the first bracket, and we would need a 4 here to make the 12, and they're both positive like that. So just double check that, 10x squared, 8 and 15, yeah, that would work. So now we have a bracket which we can cancel, so our final answer is 5x plus 4 over 2x minus 3. Part B, we had some complicated algebra there. So we've got 2 to the 2y times 2 to the 3y plus 2. And that equals 8 to the 5y over 4 to the n. Okay, so we can see we've got base 2 here. So we're going to change everything into base 2. 2y. Now I'm multiplying these powers, I can add them together to try and get a single power of 2 there. And the 8 will turn into 2 cubed to the 5y divided by 2 squared for the 4 to the power of n. So I can add these together on the left-hand side to get 5y plus 2. And then on the right side, we're going to multiply the indices to get 2 to the power of 15y over, well, let's just do a divide straight away, 2 to the 2n. So we've got 2 to the 5y plus 2 is equal to 2 to the 15y minus 2n, because I'm dividing. And it asks for an expression for n. So we can now get rid of the base 2's, and we have 5y plus 2 is 15y minus 2n. Rearrange this, we get 2n equals 15y minus 5y minus 2. So that's 2n equals 10y minus 2. So n is equal to 5y minus 1. That is for 4 marks. Question 22, arithmetic series where they actually give you the first term. That doesn't usually happen, so that's nice. First term is -6. Sum of the first 30 terms, so 2865, we're using a formula in the front with n equals 30 over 2, lots of 2 times a plus n minus 1, lots of d. So we can work out what this is. I'm going to turn that into a 15 and then divide both sides by 15 to get rid of that, and we get 2865 over 15 is 191. That equals -12 plus 29d. So d is going to be equal to 191 plus 12, and then divide that by 29 to get 7. So the common difference is 7. The first term is -6, and it wants to find the ninth term. So the ninth term is a plus n minus 1 times d. And that is 8 sevens minus 6 is 50. That's for 4 marks. Question 23 is to complete the square. So 7 minus 12x minus 2x squared. I'm going to rewrite that as -2 lots of x squared plus 6x minus 7 over 2 is 3.5. I can complete the square on the brackets now to get x plus 3 all squared minus 3 squared minus 3.5. And that will give us -2x plus 3 squared. And minus 9 minus 3.5 is minus 12.5. And to put it in the form that they want, I'm going to expand this out and times everything by -2. So I'll get 25 minus 2 lots of x plus 3 squared for 4 marks. Oh, sorry, that's for 3 marks there. Question 24 is L1 has an equation 5x plus 10y equals 8. And L2 is perpendicular to that, and it goes through 8, 6. So that's pretty standard there. We're going to rearrange this to get it in the form of y equals mx plus c, and then divide through to get minus 5 over 10 is minus a half x plus 8 over 10, like that. So now I know the gradient of this is -1/2. The perpendicular gradient is the negative reciprocal. So we do -1 divided by -1 over 2, and that gives us 2. So the gradient is 2, and I can find out the new y-intercept by substituting in for 6. 2 lots of 8 plus c. So c equals 6 minus 16 is -10. So the equation of L2 was y equals 2x minus 10. Now we have these two equations, we can start to sketch out what we think this is going to look like, -10. If I put these two equations on the graph, then we have the first line is kind of a gradient of -1/2 and goes through 0.8, so something like this. And the other one is 2x minus 10, so that's going to be quite a steep line, kind of going up like this. Okay, this is L2 and L1. And it says the L2 crosses the x-axis at the point A. So L2 crosses the x-axis. That's when y equals 0. And we can rearrange to find the x-coordinate for this, which is 5. So this point here, let's just do that in a different color. This point here where L2 crosses is A. And then it says L2 intersects a straight line with the equation x equals -3. So let's do x equals -3 down here. X equals -3 at the point B. The point B would be down here because this is L2. And we need to find that point. So we're going to substitute x equals -3 into L2 as well. So y equals 2 lots of -3 minus 10 is -16. So that point there is where y equals -16. So -3 minus 16, like that. And we have to find the area of triangle AO, which is the origin B. So we're looking for this triangle here. We're trying to find the area of that. So there's a few different ways of doing that. You can find out the area of a bigger triangle like that and subtract the smaller triangle, or you can use trigonometry to get the area of that, the angle within there. So I'm going to do the area of the big triangle, which is, let's call that C here. C, A, and B. So from C to B, that's going down 16. And from C to A, which was at 5, that's a difference of 8. So the area of that triangle is going to be half 8 times 16, which is 64 centimeters squared. And we're going to subtract the smaller triangle, which is 3 and 16. So that would be half 3 times 16, which is 24. So the area of that triangle AOB, 64 minus 24, that's 40 centimeters squared. That's for 5 marks, the hardest 5 marks you're ever going to work for. Question 25 is the proof. N is a multiple of 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that N is equal to 5 times some other number. Doesn't matter what that letter is, but it's going to be a multiple of that. And A is equal to N, which is 5k plus 1, and B is 5k minus 1. It says prove using algebra that A squared minus B squared is always a multiple of 20. So let's see what happens when we square A and we square B. So we're going to multiply these brackets out, these double brackets. 5k squared is going to be 25k squared plus 5k plus another 5k plus 1, which is equal to 25k squared plus 10k plus 1. Do the same for b squared, and we get 25a squared minus 5k minus 5k plus 1. That gives us 25k squared minus 10k plus 1. So when we do a squared minus b squared, we're going to do the 25k squared minus 25k squared. That's going to give us 0. The plus 1 minus the plus 1 is also going to cancel out, and we're left with 10k minus 10k, which is 20k. So we've just shown that that's going to be a multiple of 20 because it's 20 lots of whatever k is. So that's for 3 marks. Final question 26 is the vector question. So we had the A here, C, and a trapezium like this, and a line going through. So AC was 4B in that direction. O to A was 3A. O to B is 6B. And it says that N is a point on the line OC, so that ANB is a straight line. So that point there is N. So to prove, to find ON, we don't know how far down that line OC N lies. So we would usually have like a ratio of K to something else, like 2 to 1 or 3 to 4. And we don't know how long that is. So we're going to represent that with a K. And we need to know OC first. So OC is going to be 3A plus 4B. and O to n is going to be k times 3a plus 4b. So that would be a fraction of the distance down there. We also need to go from a to b, because we're going to show that because a and b is a straight line, it tells us that a and b is a straight line, the ratio of these vectors are going to be the same. So we need to go from a to b. That's going to be negative 3a plus 6b, which, if I take the 3 out, is minus a plus 2b. So the ratio of the a's to b's is 1 to 2 there. The direction doesn't matter. If we go to a to n, then we would go negative 3a to get down to o, and then we're going to add o to n, which we've already worked out, k lots of 3a plus 4b, like that. Okay, so we now have a to n and a to b, and those should be in the same ratio. So we're just going to clean up a to n a little bit. We've got minus 3a plus 3ka plus 4kb. I'm going to take the a out as a factor, so we're going to have a lots of minus 3 plus 3k, and then we've got the 4kb. So hopefully you can see that we've got a to b, which is in the ratio of 1 to 2, and then we've got to try and show that this is in the same ratio. So we're going to divide the a components, okay? So minus 3a divided by a brackets minus 3 plus 3k, and that will be equal to the ratio of the b's. So we've got 6b over 4kb. We can cancel the a's and cancel the b's, and we have minus 3 over minus 3 plus 3k is equal to 6 over 4k. Rearrange this, we've got to cross multiply, so minus 3 times 4k is minus 12k, and that's equal to 6 lots of negative 3 plus 3k. Expand this out, we've got minus 18 plus 18k equals negative 12k. So I'm going to rearrange that to get 30k is equal to 18. So k is equal to 18 over 30. 18 divided by 30 is 3/5. So we finally found k, and k is going to be 3/5. 3/5 of the distance from O to n. So n to c will be 2/5. Let's just double check what we need. O to n as a simplified expression. So we've got O to n, so I can just put my 3/5 here, 3a plus 4b. And that is for the final 5 marks. So I hope that was useful for you. Like I say, it's a bit ropey because I can't use the paper at this stage. I think I missed a few of the marks out as well. So check the description below and I'll write down what each of the marks are available for each question. And as this paper and the paper one was quite nice, apart from a couple of tricky questions, I would say that you're looking at about 78, 79 in each paper for a 9. And then you're looking at about 65 in each paper for an 8 and 53 from each paper to get a 7. Okay, so you can add those up and see if you're averaging above those thresholds for your grades 9, 8, and 7. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And I've rushed through this, so I might have made some mistakes, but I'm pretty sure that's about right. And I hope that you're getting the grades that you're looking for.